Okay, so you're here with us again because, let's face it, you like to get right into things. You like to understand what's really going on, and we're right there with you.
Yeah, we like to go deep.
And this one, you brought us something pretty interesting, pretty unsettling to look at this time, a firsthand account of a terrifying experience in Sedona, Arizona, specifically in Boyne Canyon.
Boyne Canyon.
Yeah.
Yeah, this comes from the digital files of a guy named Lucas Bennett. He describes himself as like a 5-year RV traveler who documented what he considered sacred places all across the country.
Okay.
And these writings we're looking at were found on like a backup server, like almost a message in a bottle. And it's detailing like a disturbing experience, a descent into something really, really unknown.
Okay, so a warning wrapped in a mystery, right?
Yeah, it definitely reads as a warning, a very stark warning.
Okay, so our goal today then is to kind of like navigate this guy's journey, piece together what happened to this guy, Lucas Bennett, as he experienced it, and really try to identify what was at the heart of this alarming discovery. And we're diving deep into the details here, and keeping in mind that it is a unsettling account of what he went through.
Yeah, for sure.
So where do we even begin?
So Bennett starts out by establishing his background, right? He's a very experienced traveler. He's been documenting these so-called sacred sites for quite a while. And I think this is really key because it kind of frames him as someone who is grounded, right? Not really swayed by superstition.
Right.
He's been to a lot of places, he's seen a lot of things, and he's been recording these locations with, hopefully a critical eye. So
it makes his early encounter in Sedona all the more significant, right?
Right.
He talks about meeting this elderly Yavapai man right outside of a crystal shop. And it's not just a passing comment, right?
No, not at all. It's I think this encounter is really what plants like the first seed of unease in him.
Right.
So this guy approaches him after seeing him filming and just tells him straight up, "You're looking for the wrong kind of stories here." And then he adds this incredibly evocative idea. He says, "Some places in these canyons are doors, not destinations."
Whoa.
Right away, it just challenges how we think about a location. It's not just a place to see, it's a threshold to something else.
Yeah, like what is on the other side of this door, right?
Exactly. And he doesn't really specify in that moment, but he offers Bennett something tangible.
He does. He offers him a leather pouch, right?
A leather pouch, yeah. Offered as like protection from the watchers in the stone.
Watches in the stone.
Yeah, so it immediately introduces this idea of like unseen entities residing within the very landscape watching.
Okay, that's kind of creepy.
It is, yeah. And Bennett, very politely declines. He's like, "No, I'm here to document. I'm focused on what I can see, what's tangible."
Okay. And the guy doesn't like push it on him or anything. He just kind of accepts it.
He just accepts it and then follows it with an even more direct and chilling warning.
Right. He says, when you hear your name called by something that isn't human, don't answer.
Don't answer. And it's so specific.
It is so specific.
Yeah. This advice, it really sticks with Bennett. And as we'll see, it becomes tragically relevant later on.
Right. But he kind of just brushes it off at first, right?
At first, yeah. I mean, he's heard a lot of stories. He's been to a lot of places. So he continues on with his plan to explore Boynton Canyon.
So the first couple days of exploring are like normal, right?
They're almost normal. Yeah. Like almost designed to create a sense of routine before things start to get really strange.
Right. He's doing his normal documentary stuff, capturing beautiful scenery, documenting pictographs. All of his equipment's working fine.
Right. The solitude is familiar to him. The desert silence at night is expected. It's crucial, this period of normalcy, because it really contrasts with like the escalating strangeness that follow.
It's like the calm before the storm.
Exactly. Yeah. It highlights how quickly things can unravel.
So then day 3 rolls around and he decides to go off the marked trails.
Yeah, that's kind of the turning point, I think.
He wants to find that unique shot, right? Something special.
Right. Driven by that allure of like undiscovered perspectives, he follows what looks like an old game trail and it leads him to a rock face with this narrow fissure in it.
Okay.
He even mentions like the cool air emanating from it, like almost an invitation. And he squeezes through this narrow opening, camera in hand, and it really feels like a step into the unknown, a point of no return.
And he emerges into this hidden canyon, right?
Yes, completely enclosed by these sheer cliff walls. And what he really emphasizes is the stillness, the silence. It's different.
Different how?
He specifically mentions there's no wind, no birdsong. The silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's like this physical presence pressing in on him.
Wow. Okay, and then there are the petroglyphs, right?
Yes, and these are unlike any he's documented before.
So what's different about them?
He describes them as elongated figures with like an unnatural number of limbs, and their heads are angled in these bizarre ways.
That's strange.
It's really strange. It suggests that whoever created these petroglyphs were different from any culture he had encountered before.
Right, or maybe something entirely outside of conventional understanding.
Right, exactly. And he's filming them. He's documenting his seemingly unaware of the subtle shift in the atmosphere that's starting to happen.
So what happens?
Well, he gets kind of caught up in the moment, right? The sun is setting. He wants to get that perfect shot, so he stays longer than he planned.
And that's when things start to get really weird.
Yeah, the first sign is this interference on his camera viewfinder, these fleeting figures that appear on screen, but they don't actually show up in the playback.
Huh, that's strange. Like a technical glitch, maybe?
Yeah, you could dismiss it as that at first, or like a trick of the light, but then his satellite phone loses signal completely.
Oh no, and he's in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly, and he had a strong connection just hours before, so in such a remote location, that's a major red flag.
Definitely a sign that something is wrong.
Absolutely. And as darkness falls, finding that fissure becomes harder, and when he finally does find it, he gets this unsettling feeling that it's narrower than before.
Oh, like the canyon is changing around him?
Yeah, like the rock itself is somehow responsive.
So he decides to camp out in the canyon for the night.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting dark. He's lost his way out, so he figures he'll try again in the morning, but that's when things get really creepy.
Okay, what happens?
He tries to contact the outside world again, no signal, and then the silence of the canyon changes again.
How so?
It's no longer just an absence of sound. It's like it's filled with anticipation, like something is about to happen.
Oh, that's ominous.
It is. And around 3 a.m., he starts to hear whispering.
Whispering.
Yeah, soft and indistinct, but it sounds like speech, but there's no wind. There's no one around. It's coming from seemingly nowhere.
So he's hearing voices in the darkness.
And what's really unsettling is that his audio recorder doesn't pick up anything. It's just static.
Oh, so it's like his mind is playing tricks on him.
It would seem that way, but the whispering continues, and then he notices something strange while he's filming the petroglyphs.
What does he see?
When he looks through the camera lens, he sees subtle movements among the carved figures.
But when he looks at the wall directly, he doesn't see anything.
Nothing. It's like the camera is picking up something his eyes can't see.
So he can only see it through the lens.
Exactly. And then he hears his name called softly from the darkness.
And he remembers the old man's warning.
When you hear your name called by something that isn't human, don't answer.
So he doesn't respond.
He stays silent, which might have been the best decision he made that night.
So morning comes, he feels a sense of relief, like maybe it was all just a bad dream.
But as he tries to leave the canyon, he realizes he's completely lost.
But he's in this small enclosed space. How can he be lost?
That's the thing. It doesn't make sense. And after hours of walking, he ends up right back in the hidden canyon.
What, like he walked in a circle?
More like he was redirected, like the canyon itself is preventing him from leaving.
And that's when he notices that something is wrong with his watch and his camera timestamps.
Right. His watch shows that a lot of time has passed, but the position of the sun doesn't match up. And the timestamps on his body camera footage are jumping all over the place.
Wow, so it's like time is distorted in the canyon.
Yeah. Like it's operating under different rules, maybe a different dimension or something.
So he's trapped not just physically, but also temporally.
Right. And it's at this point he realizes this canyon is some kind of trap.
And the paranormal activity starts to escalate, right?
Yeah, the whispering gets louder, more insistent, and he starts to hear human voices calling his name.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and the petroglyphs on the wall, they're moving more, now rearranging themselves when he's not looking.
That's so creepy.
And when he tries to film it, his camera only records static.
Huh. So it's like whatever's happening, it doesn't want to be recorded.
It's interfering with his technology, and then he notices that the canyon wall itself feels strange.
What does it feel like?
It's warm to the touch pulsing beneath his fingers.
Like it's alive.
Yeah, and his attempts to escape get more and more bizarre. He climbs a cliff only to find himself back at ground level. He leaves markers that disappear,
Like the canyon is playing tricks on him.
messing with his perception of reality.
And then he finds footprints that match his own, but he doesn't remember making them.
Right, so maybe he's not alone in this, or maybe his own experience is becoming fragmented.
That's terrifying.
It is, and his final entries are even more disturbing.
Oh, just what happens?
His physical condition deteriorates rapidly, despite what his watch says he's losing weight. His beard is growing like he's been there for weeks, but it's only been a few days, according to his watch.
Time is definitely messed up in there.
Totally, and then his main camera dies, even though it's brand new.
So he's losing his connection to the outside world.
and his ability to document what's happening, and then he sees something that can't be explained away.
What does he see?
Three-dimensional figures emerge from the petroglyph wall, reaching out towards him before retreating back into the stone.
Wow. Okay, so they're not just carvings. They're, like, alive.
Right. It's something beyond our understanding, and the whispering is constant now, but he starts to pick out words like doorways, guardians, prisoners, those who came before.
So it's like the whispers are trying to tell him something.
Maybe trying to warn him, or maybe something more sinister.
And then he hears a voice speaking English.
A woman's voice talking about an RV trip from the previous year.
So the canyon is somehow echoing past events.
Blurring the lines between past and present, and then the petroglyphs themselves start to transform.
Wow, so...
They become more defined, depicting people entering the stone with expressions of fear and despair.
Oh, no.
And Bennett realizes the horrifying truth. The petroglyphs aren't just ancient art. They're a record of the people who have been trapped in the canyon.
Like a warning to anyone who enters.
Exactly. And all his attempts to escape fail. The canyon seems to change its layout when he's not looking like it's toying with him.
It's like a maze with no exit.
And then a new figure appears on the wall, one that looks just like him holding a camera.
Like the canyon is claiming him as its own.
And he starts to feel this pull towards the wall, like he's being drawn in.
And the voices, they change again, right?
Yeah, they start making promises, offering him knowledge, power, companionship. They tell him he's special, that he can share their story.
Like they're trying to lure him in.
They're preying on his curiosity, his desire to understand.
And in his final recording, he describes something opening in the wall, a darkness deeper than night.
And he hears his own voice echoing from within the stone.
It's like he's being absorbed into the canyon.
And his final words are a warning to stay away from unmarked canyons in Sedona. Don't film the petroglyphs and never answer when you hear your name called.
So what happened to him?
We don't know for sure.
Did he lose his mind, or did he stumble into something truly paranormal?
It's impossible to say, but his account is a reminder that there are things in this world that we may never fully understand.
And that some places hold secrets that are best left undisturbed.
Exactly.
So for our listeners out there, think about the places you've been that have a strange atmosphere, a place that just feels different. Could there be something more to those places, something beyond our comprehension?
What stories do those places tell?
Maybe it's best not to find out.
Yeah, maybe some doors are better left unopened.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, stay curious, but stay safe.
And keep looking for the truth.
Out there.
It's out there somewhere. Have you ever been to a place that just grabs you? Like you feel this pull. I mean, for me, it's Sedona, Arizona, those red rocks. There's something about the way the light hits them.
Oh, yeah, totally. The way the light plays off those geological shapes creates something really special. It's no wonder it draws so many photographers and artists, for years and years.
And that's actually what we're looking at today, this really unsettling series of events that happened right there in Sedona. And National Geographic, even they've got it filed under Earth's light anomalies, like those strange, sometimes beautiful, but sometimes you'll see those interactions between light and the land.
Yeah, those phenomena that can really inspire awe, but sometimes they can lead to experiences that are really hard to explain.
Exactly. And we're looking at the first-hand account of a woman named Olivia Chen, a really respected professional landscape photographer. And I mean, she doesn't mess around. She's captured images in like the most extreme environments, you name it, erupting volcanoes, glaciers, amidst of huge storms. And she's seen it all tripod ready to go. What's so interesting about this story is that she doesn't seem like the kind of person who gets rattled easily. Until she took this RV trip to Sedona, specifically timed for the spring equinox.
Yeah, it really says something when someone with that much experience, someone who seems so unflappable, encounters something that shakes them to their core.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to try to do today is piece together what happened to her using her own written account. We really want to understand the unsettling reality that she found herself in.
Yeah, a journey into the unexpected.
Yeah.
Especially for someone whose work is so rooted in the tangible, observable world.
So Olivia gets to Sedona a couple weeks before the equinox, and she sets up her RV in this place called the Secret Slick Rock area. Sounds pretty idyllic, right? Just her out in the middle of nowhere with that stunning scenery. And she spends the first few days scouting things out, getting a feel for the land, figuring out, where she needs to be for when the equinox light show happens.
like any professional, just
Yeah.
trying to map out her shots, understanding how the light's going to hit the terrain at different times.
Exactly. And it's during one of her trips into town for coffee that she gets this first hint that something is off, although she doesn't quite realize it at the time. So she's chatting with the barista, this local woman who obviously knows the area really well, and the barista notices Olivia's photography gear, just kind of casually mentions, another photographer chasing the light.
Which I imagine is a pretty common sight in a place like Sedona, given, its reputation.
Exactly. But when Olivia mentions that she's specifically interested in the equinox phenomena, the barista's whole demeanor changes. The smile disappears, and she leans in and gives Olivia this really cryptic warning, almost like a secret. She mentions how the indigenous people in the area, they've historically avoided creating images of certain formations, like this idea that the rocks themselves, they don't like their true nature being revealed. And this is where it gets really interesting. The barista even suggests that seeing these formations too clearly can actually change the person who's looking at them.
Well, it's like this really fascinating mix of, cultural beliefs and the potential impact of really focused observation. Makes you wonder, is the act of seeing ever truly passive?
Right. And Olivia's reaction is so telling. She kind of brushes it off as, local color. A charming little superstition. I mean, someone with her background obviously has professional respect for local traditions. But her whole way of understanding the world is grounded in science, in rational explanation. These kind of mystical warnings, well, she probably figured they were interesting anecdotes for her articles, not actual threats to her well-being or her photography.
Totally. I mean, for someone in her field, she has to be objective, right? Her work relies on capturing and interpreting visual data in a really precise way.
So she takes it in stride, finishes her coffee, heads back to her campsite, and she's already planning her next shots. And little did she know that the barista might have been trying to tell her something far more significant than just some folklore. Now let's jump ahead a few days. Olivia is reviewing her images of Cathedral Rock, that really iconic Sedona landmark. And she took these pictures during golden hour. And that's when things start to get a little strange.
So that's the point where the predictable reality she expects from her photographs that starts to break down.
Exactly. In these otherwise beautiful images, she starts noticing anomalies. Things that look, well, disturbingly like human features emerging from the rock face, like eyes, mouths, even like elongated limbs. And her first thought, naturally, is that something's wrong with her equipment. Like maybe it's sensor dust or weird lens flare, something easily explained by, a malfunction or some kind of optical trick.
Right. That's the standard first check for any photographer when they see something unexpected in their images.
Yeah.
You got to rule out the technical stuff before you even consider anything unusual.
Of course. So she meticulously cleans all of her gear and goes back to the same spot the next day, determined to prove it was just a glitch. And here's where things get really interesting. She doesn't just take her usual high-end camera, she brings a backup Canon and even an old film Leica. 3 completely different systems, different sensors, different lenses, different everything, even different media. Her logic is sound. If it's a technical problem, it shouldn't replicate across all 3 cameras, especially not on analog film.
Yeah, that's a really systematic approach, trying to isolate, any potential equipment-related cause. Yeah. And the fact that she included film is actually really smart because it has such a fundamentally different capture process.
But when she reviews those images that evening, the same distortions are there in all 3 sets. And they're even more pronounced now. The faces are clearer. And she uses this really unsettling word to describe their expressions, hungry. And then it gets weirder. The faces seem to be subtly shifting between consecutive shots, almost like they're animate within the stone.
Okay, so now this is going way beyond pareidolia. That thing where we tend to see faces in random patterns. The fact that it's consistent across different capture methods and that there's this suggestion of movement that's really disturbing, that challenges any kind of simple explanation.
And then she zooms in on some of the wider shots, and she sees what looks like tiny human silhouettes on these distant ridges, all facing her general direction. And she's absolutely certain they weren't there when she took the photos. I mean, someone with her level of skill would have noticed. Her entire career is built on seeing and recording details.
Yeah, and her professional training and experience, they definitely lend a lot of weight to that observation. She's not some amateur who's likely to miss those kinds of details in the landscape.
So that night, as you can imagine, is a sleepless one for Olivia. The solitude of her RV, which usually gives her a sense of peace, now feels oppressive, almost threatening. And then around 3 a.m., she's woken up by this faint, rhythmic tapping on her skylight. Tap, tap, tap. And when she looks up, there's nothing there, just the night sky. But she has this fleeting, almost dreamlike impression of the stars momentarily rearranging themselves into a blinking face before snapping back to their normal positions.
Okay, so the fact that there's no physical cause for the tapping and then that visual hallucination, it suggests that the stress and the bizarre discoveries from the past few days, they're really starting to mess with her perception. The line between the outside world and her internal state is blurring.
And again, she tries to find a rational explanation. Maybe a tree branch she hadn't noticed, or her imagination running wild after such a crazy day. She's clinging to the idea of pareidolia, of exhaustion, playing tricks on her mind. But you can tell from her writing that the foundation of her rational worldview is starting to crumble under the weight of these inexplicable events. Now, as the equinox gets closer, her focus shifts to this place called Whispering Rock, this massive, almost mushroom-shaped rock formation with these really unique acoustic properties. And she's learned about this light bridge phenomenon that's supposed to occur during the equinox.
Yeah, a very specific time-sensitive event that she would naturally want to photograph. Given her, professional drive and the chance to capture something truly unique.
Exactly. It's described as this beam of intense light that connects two parts of the rock formation. And it only lasts for like 10 minutes, and it's never been successfully photographed in its entirety. So Olivia, being the dedicated and meticulous professional that she is, spends 3 whole days scouting the perfect vantage point to capture this phenomenon. And she finally finds this incredibly narrow ledge near the summit of Whispering Rock. And it's a difficult and kind of dangerous climb, but it offers the exact perspective she needs.
That really shows her commitment, though, and her willingness to push herself physically to get the shot. It also just underscores how deliberate she was being in the lead up to the equinox.
And then the day before the equinox, she gets this totally unexpected text message from an unknown number. It says, "Don't photograph the light bridge. What crosses over won't be light." She tries to call back immediately, but the number's disconnected. At first, she dismisses it as a prank. Maybe some locals trying to keep their spot secret. But she admits in her writing that it definitely makes her uneasy, like a nagging feeling that something's not right.
Another warning. And this one's a lot more direct and ominous than the baristas. And the fact that the number's disconnected just adds to that feeling that someone's intentionally trying to be untraceable.
That evening, as she's reviewing her test shots from Whispering Rock, the strange distortions are back. But they've gotten so much worse. Now it's not just vague facial features. She's seeing what look like full 3-dimensional figures emerging from the solid rock. In one photo, there's a very clear image of what looks like a hand reaching out from a crevice in the stone. And when she physically checks that exact crevice the next morning, nothing. Solid rock.
Okay, so the disconnect between her photos and what she's seeing with her own eyes is really starting to become a problem. It challenges her whole understanding of reality. Photography has always been her reliable tool for documenting the world.
Right. She's got this real conflict going on, doesn't she? Her professional pride, the need to do her job and capture this event, is battling this growing urge to just pack up and get as far away from Sedona as possible. She even writes in her journal that she's never abandoned a job before. So despite all her apprehension, the day of the equinox arrives. And the skies are perfectly clear. Olivia's up before dawn, and she's making that treacherous climb up to her spot on Whispering Rock. But even the climb itself is different now. Handholds that felt solid during her practice climbs just days before are crumbling under her fingers. It's almost as if the rock is resenting her.
Wow. So now the environment itself is becoming hostile. On top of the psychological stress she's already dealing with, it's like the landscape is mirroring her internal state.
When she finally gets to the ledge, exhausted but in position, she notices something really strange about the rock right beneath her. What she thought were just natural patterns in the sandstone now look like deliberate markings. Like glyphs, too regular, too intentional to just be erosion. She compares them in her notes to ancient petroglyphs she's photographed at other sites, but these aren't carved into the surface. They seem to be a part of the rock itself.
That's a really interesting discovery. It hints at something deeper, like maybe these formations have some purpose beyond just being geological features. And the comparison to glyphs suggests some kind of communication or record keeping, which just adds another layer to the mystery.
And then she touches them. And the rock feels warm, almost unnervingly alive. With this subtle pulsing that she describes as feeling strangely like human skin beneath her fingertips, it's super unsettling, but she forces herself to focus on setting up her equipment, her training's kicking in. As the time for the equinox gets closer, things start to get even weirder. The air around the rock starts to shimmer like it's intensely hot, even though the actual temperature is cool and there's no wind. And the light itself changes. It takes on this indescribable quality. It's not the warm glow of golden hour or the harshness of midday sun. It's something else entirely, almost electric.
So there's a fundamental shift in her sensory experience of the environment. There's like forces beyond normal atmospheric conditions are at play. This is way beyond the kind of predictable natural phenomena she's used to documenting.
And the colors become incredibly intense, almost painfully so. It's like the red rocks are glowing from within, while the sky directly overhead becomes almost twilight blue. And then there's the sound. These distant echoes of what sound like voices coming from the rock itself. Their sound is bending and warping along with the light, but despite her fear, Olivia's photographer's instinct takes over, and she starts shooting continuously, desperately trying to document this sensory overload.
She's completely overwhelmed by the strangeness of it all, but her training compels her to keep recording, even though her rational mind can't grasp what's happening.
The light bridge forms just as predicted, this perfect, intensely radiant beam connecting the two rock formations. But what her research didn't prepare her for what no one could have predicted is what happens next. The light solidifies, becomes this tangible bridge of pure energy hanging in the air, and then she sees them. Vague humanoid shapes moving across it, from one rock formation to the other. Her first thought is that it's some kind of optical illusion, maybe dust particles reflecting the light.
Right, a natural response. Trying to find a rational explanation, even when faced with something that clearly defies logic. The human mind wants to make sense of the impossible by fitting it into familiar concepts.
But she can't look away, she can't stop taking pictures, she's desperately trying to capture proof of what she's seeing, and then through the sound of her camera's shutter, she hears her own name, called out from somewhere far away, or maybe even from the rock beneath her, and something makes her turn her camera away from the light bridge, and there, on the ledge behind her, in a space that was definitely empty just moments ago, is a figure, backlit by the glowing rocks. Its proportions are all wrong. Limbs too long, torso too thin, head too angular.
Wow. So the warnings from the barista and that text message, they're starting to make a lot more sense now. Whatever crosses over it seems to have arrived.
Yeah. She lowers her camera, expecting it to vanish when she looks directly at it. But it doesn't. It stays there, becoming clearer, more solid. As it takes a step toward her, she sees its skin. It's the same color and texture as the red sandstone all around her. And its face, it's her face, a perfect, lifeless replica rendered in living stone. And she just panics. She raises her camera to flash fires, and that's the last photo it ever takes.
A moment of pure terror, the culmination of all the strange events. And the flash, almost like a desperate, maybe futile attempt to understand the impossible.
The next thing Olivia remembers is being back in her RV, her whole body shaking, frantically trying to download the equinox photos onto her laptop. The transfer seems to take forever, and when the images finally pop up on the screen, it's pure horror. The shots of the light bridge are there, but then come the images she took after turning around. Images of figures emerging from the rocks, their bodies made of the same red stone, but undeniably human-shaped. Or maybe once human?
So now she has visual proof. The hungry expressions she saw in those distorted faces earlier, it all makes sense now in the context of these figures.
There are more figures in each frame. Some look like they're wearing modern clothes, others look ancient, but they all have that same unsettling, hungry expression. And the final flash photo. It's just a blinding white flare that's corrupted the file. Big chunks of the image are missing, replaced by what looks like digital noise. But when she zooms in on the corrupted areas, she sees tiny lines of text, written in a language she doesn't recognize.
It's like the digital realm itself is being affected by whatever she encountered. The corrupted file and the unknown text suggest that this goes beyond just the physical world.
She tries to back up the photos, but everything fails. Cloud uploads time out, and external hard drive just stops working. And when she tries to print a single image, any image, she gets a solid black page with a single message printed on it. We see you now. She burns the print immediately, but that night she's plagued by this feeling of movement outside her RV, like fleeting shadows that don't have a source. She knows she has to leave Sedona now.
Wow. The feeling of being watched is no longer just in her head. It's confirmed by the message, a direct threat acknowledging her presence and what she's seen.
She throws all her stuff in the RV, leaving behind expensive equipment just to get away. And as she starts the engine, she gets text on her phone from her own number. It says, "Too late, you've been captured." And there's a photo attached, a photo taken inside her RV. It's her sleeping soundly from the night before night. She remembers being wide awake with a dark figure reaching toward her from the shadows. She drives away as fast as she can, but her engine dies a couple miles down the road. And then the radio turns on by itself. It cycles through static before landing on a clear recording of her own voice, calmly reciting the coordinates of Whispering Rock. And in the background, you can hear the click of a camera shutter over and over again.
That's scary. It's like the phenomena are now manipulating her world, turning her own technology against her.
Yeah.
And that repeating shutter sound, there's just a constant reminder of her taking those pictures.
The radio knob starts melting in her hand. The light outside takes on that same unnatural intensity she saw during the equinox. And she sees shadows moving around without any light source. And then in the middle of the road ahead of her, she sees herself, or rather her doppelganger, standing there facing her RV, aiming a camera right at her. And that's where her coherent, written account ends. The rest of what we know comes from these fragmented and disturbing entries in her journal. Her laptop's fried, the screen's just a distorted reflection. And her watch, which she says was a reliable automatic, has stopped at 5:47 p.m. on the day of the equinox. And she starts to believe that time itself is distorted around her. The colors of the Sedona landscape start to fade away. Her peripheral vision blurs, and she writes about things in her RV moving around when she's not looking at them.
So her sensory perception is breaking down too, just like her technology. Time, space, even called the fundamental building blocks of her reality are becoming unstable.
She keeps finding herself drawn back to Whispering Rock no matter how hard she tries to drive away. The town of Sedona feels distant, like it doesn't exist anymore. The few people she sees on hiking trails look like sandstone creatures. Their faces all resemble her own when she looks at them through her camera. And then she makes a horrifying discovery. An old camera bag with a journal and photos belonging to another photographer, a Michael Torres. His story is eerily similar to hers, culminating in his transformation into one of the stone figures. And then the really chilling part. The ID on her driver's license and her credit cards, it's been replaced with the name Michael Torres. Even her reflection in the mirror is acting strangely.
The loss of identity, both in the real world and in her own mind, that's really disturbing. And the fact that another photographer suffered the same fate, it suggests this isn't an isolated incident, that there's a pattern.
In her last journal entries, Olivia figures out a horrifying truth. The red rocks of Sedona, especially around the equinox, somehow capture the essence of anyone who tries to photograph them. The act of observation of trying to capture their image creates these terrifying copies. And now she's experiencing physical changes. Her skin is hardening, taking on the texture of sandstone. She can't leave an indentation when she presses on her arm. She finds red sand in her bed, and she even found a pebble under her tongue. Her final warning is pretty clear. Stay away from Sedona during the equinoxes. Don't photograph the light phenomena and delete any photos you have of the red rocks. She understands now that observation created a connection. And the rocks, they're looking back. Her condition is getting worse. She leaves red fingerprints on things. Her movements are stiff and jerky. She has these strange thoughts, and she knows she's turning into one of the stone figures.
A complete merging with the environment she was trying to document. It's like her attempts to capture Sedona led to her own capture.
So we're left with this big, unsettling mystery, aren't we? What happens in Sedona during the equinox? Was Olivia just going crazy? Hallucinations brought on by stress and isolation? Or did she and others before her stumble onto something ancient, something dangerous that's beyond our understanding of reality?
Well, her story is so detailed and consistent. And there's the photos and what happened to Michael Torres. It's hard to dismiss it as just a mental breakdown. There are real consequences.
That idea of being framed for eternity, it's really creepy. The thought that you could be captured and replicated just by trying to take a picture. It makes you wonder if there are other places, other phenomena where observing them changes things in ways we don't understand. Maybe we should think more carefully about what we choose to capture with our cameras and the potential consequences of that choice.
I think you're right. Maybe those old warnings about certain places really do hold some truth.
Food for thought, isn't it? What do you think? Have you ever been to a place that felt a little off? Like something was watching you? Let us know.
All right, so this deep dive is, it's coming from some pretty unusual material that you sent over. A first-hand account.
Right.
That really grabbed our attention.
Yeah.
We're talking about an RV trip to Sedona, Arizona.
Okay.
That went very wrong for two researchers who were investigating something called geomagnetic anomalies.
Yeah, that's right. Instead of a dry scientific paper or, a journal article.
Right.
We have Emma Reeves's direct experience, a distress signal, actually, detailing her and Dr. Nathan Cooper's disappearance near a location ominously known as The Crossing.
Okay, The Crossing. All right.
It's quite a departure.
Yeah.
It presents a fascinating challenge, in terms of understanding what happened.
Absolutely. And knowing your interest in getting to the heart of things quickly and thoroughly.
Yeah.
Our aim here is to really unpack this unsettling narrative and pull out the crucial details. Emma's beacon went off about 12 miles north of Sedona Center near this crossing after they'd been missing for over 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
So the initial setup, I think, is key here.
Okay.
Dr. Cooper, a geologist from the University of Colorado, was operating on the idea that specific rock formations could be the cause of these geomagnetic anomalies.
Interesting.
And, think of these anomalies for you as localized areas where the Earth's magnetic field acts in unexpected or really intense ways, sometimes linked to, unusual experiences.
Oh, right.
Dr. Cooper was approaching this from a purely scientific angle, hoping to find hard geological explanations for the, more mysterious aspects of Sedona.
It's a classic tension, isn't it? This desire to find concrete, measurable explanations, that phenomena that others might see through a more spiritual or intuitive lens.
Right.
Dr. Cooper was focused on what he could quantify with his custom-built magnetometers and ground-penetrating radar.
Wow.
Instruments designed to measure magnetic fields and subsurface structures.
Okay.
He believed that numbers and data would unlock the secrets of these unusual locations.
Which brings us to the researchers themselves.
Yes.
We get a strong sense of their contrasting personalities.
Okay.
Nathan comes across as meticulous, the ultimate skeptic, someone who likes his data points and controlled experiments. He even got an oversized RV, we read.
Oh, wow.
Just to house all his specialized gear.
Okay, so really dedicated to that.
Very much so.
Okay.
Emma, on the other hand, seems more attuned to the less tangible aspects of Sedona, mentioning this feeling that the veil between different realities might be thinner in certain spots.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
So she's more open to those possibilities.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
Their dynamic seems rooted in mutual respect,
Okay.
even with these differing viewpoints. Nathan apparently tolerated Emma's interest in things like vortex tours and crystal shops, good-naturedly calling them her spirit quests.
Yeah.
While he remained laser-focused on what he considered objective, verifiable information.
It's a common scenario in exploration.
Yeah.
Different perspectives can sometimes lead to unexpected discoveries.
Absolutely.
But in this account, it seems those contrasting viewpoints might have led them down very different paths.
Precisely.
Okay.
Nathan was all about what he could measure and record. Emma was picking up on things that his instruments weren't registering.
Right.
Subtle shifts in the atmosphere.
Interesting.
A persistent sense of unease in particular areas.
Right.
And this is where the narrative takes a darker turn.
Okay.
With the arrival of a warning.
Oh, a warning. Okay,
Yeah.
so they're getting closer to something, or something's getting closer to them.
That's right. The encounter at the gas station on Route 89A with the elderly Hopi man is a really significant moment.
Okay.
His direct warning to Nathan against taking readings at the crossing, saying it would wake things that should stay sleeping.
Oh, wow.
Injects a powerful sense of dread into what was intended as a scientific expedition.
It makes you wonder what kind of knowledge resides outside of our scientific methods.
Exactly. And Nathan's reaction is so telling.
Okay.
He dismisses it initially as local superstitions. That scientific mind at work.
Yeah.
But then immediately inputs the location into his GPS. It highlights that inherent human curiosity. That drive to probe the unknown, even when there are clear indications to proceed with caution.
Yeah, it's like that forbidden knowledge thing that humans have. Like, you can't tell us not to do something.
That's right.
We're going to go figure it out. We have to know.
That's right.
Okay, so he's drawn to it.
He's drawn to it, absolutely.
Even though he's skeptical.
Yeah. Emma, looking back, clearly feels a deep regret for not insisting they heed that warning.
Right.
It raises a question for you.
Yeah.
How much weight do we give to intuition or traditional wisdom when it clashes with our desire for empirical evidence?
It really underscores a potential blind spot in purely rational inquiry.
Yes.
Sometimes dismissing accumulated cultural understanding
Right.
simply because it doesn't fit neatly into a scientific framework
Yeah.
can have unforeseen consequences.
Yes.
The Hopi man's warning wasn't based on a hypothesis,
Right.
but on generations of observation and experience in that region.
Exactly. So they eventually find this cropping,
Okay.
which wasn't marked on any regular maps.
So unmarked territory.
Yes. It took them 3 days of searching, piecing together geological surveys
Oh, wow.
and obscure online reports to pinpoint the location.
Okay.
Even getting there was an ordeal.
Okay.
This narrow valley,
Yeah.
reached by a barely passable dirt track, forcing them to hike the last half mile with all their heavy equipment.
Oh, wow. So they're really going off the beaten path.
They are, they're dedicated.
Wow. Okay.
The details Emma provides about their arrival are incredibly evocative.
Okay.
She immediately feels a change in pressure, almost like the air itself is different.
Interesting.
While Nathan is instantly preoccupied with unpacking his instruments, suggesting his gear was already picking up unusual signals.
Oh, so he's getting readings right away.
Even as they're driving in.
Wow. Okay.
And the readings are described as completely unprecedented,
Okay.
magnetic fluctuations that made no sense. A compass spinning wildly. GPS coordinates jumping miles away while they were standing still.
Wow.
Then you have the audio recordings capturing these deep, low-frequency hums and pulses that they couldn't even hear at the time.
Okay. So things are getting strange.
Very strange.
Okay.
It's at this point that Nathan's scientific skepticism really starts to erode,
Okay.
replaced by this intense sense of wonder, the possibility that they were on the verge of some groundbreaking discovery.
So his mind is starting to open up a little bit.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
His quote, "It's like the laws of physics are different here,"
Wow.
is pivotal.
Yeah, that's huge.
It signifies a shift from trying to fit the data into existing scientific models
Right.
to acknowledging the possibility of entirely new phenomena at play.
That's a big deal for a scientist.
It is, yeah, it's a big deal.
I'll see that.
However, this scientific excitement seems to make him less attentive
Okay.
to the other unsettling aspects of their surroundings that Emma is noticing.
Right. So he's hyper focused
Very much so.
on this one thing.
Yeah, exactly. While Nathan is engrossed in his readings,
Yeah.
Emma is observing these strange striated rocks with unusual colors,
Okay.
perfectly circular holes in the ground, and this bizarre effect where the rock surfaces seem to shimmer and shift like holograms.
Wow, like a mirage almost.
Yeah, and Nathan's response is almost dismissive, a distracted nod,
Really?
telling her to document everything for later,
Okay.
as if it were just another data point. This makes you wonder about the limitations of focusing too narrowly on one set of data.
It highlights a potential pitfall
Yeah.
of highly specialized scientific inquiry.
Yeah.
The risks of overlooking broader environmental cues that might be just as significant.
Right.
Emma's observations, while not directly registering on his magnetometers, could have been critical warning signs if they had been given more consideration.
And then there's the silence,
The silence.
this deeply unsettling absence of any animal life.
Okay.
No birds singing, no insects buzzing,
Wow.
an absolute unnatural stillness
Oh.
that even Nathan acknowledges as interesting before immediately returning to his equipment.
Wow. So he notices it,
He does.
but doesn't really process it.
He kind of just brushes it off.
Wow. Okay.
As evening approaches, Emma suggests they head back to the RV,
Okay, that's sensible.
a sensible precaution.
It's a suggestion.
But Nathan decides to stay and set up overnight monitoring,
Uh,
expecting to follow her in just an hour.
All right.
This is the crucial decision point, isn't it?
It sounds like it, but yeah.
Emma's apprehension is clear in her account,
Right?
and her subsequent regret at leaving him alone is palpable.
Uh-huh.
The image she paints of Nathan kneeling amongst his instruments as the sun goes down becomes the last normal memory she has of him.
Wow.
It makes you think about those moments
Yeah.
when a seemingly small decision can have enormous consequences.
Absolutely.
When Nathan doesn't return, Emma goes back to find his equipment still running,
Okay.
laid out with scientific precision, still recording this inexplicable data. But Nathan himself is gone.
Oh.
The only clue is his flashlight beam,
Okay.
illuminating this narrow vertical crack in the rock face, a fissure that Emma hadn't even noticed before.
Oh, wow. So just a crack in the rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
The details surrounding this fissure are immediately odd.
Okay.
Emma describes her flashlight beam bending near it,
Wow.
which suggests a powerful unseen force or field.
So something strange is happening.
Yeah. And the echo of her voice coming from within isn't normal.
Okay.
It's distorted, lower, almost mechanical. What's particularly unsettling is that there are no physical signs that Nathan actually entered this narrow crack.
So no signs of a struggle or
Right.
anything.
Nothing.
But his flashlight's pointing towards it.
That's right.
Okay.
Despite the lack of any clear indication he went in,
Yeah.
Emma hears what she believes to be Nathan's voice calling for help from inside the fissure.
Oh, wow.
Driven by a desperate hope and a sense of responsibility, she makes the agonizing decision to squeeze through this incredibly narrow opening.
Oh, my goodness.
Emma's descent into the fissure marks a real turning point in the narrative,
Okay.
shifting from scientific anomaly to something that feels deeply otherworldly.
Right.
The sensation of the rock walls pulsing around her, the increasing cold, all contribute to this feeling of entering not just a geological formation, but something almost alive.
Wow. Like the Earth itself is...
Yes, it's alive. And then she finds herself in this small chamber
Okay.
covered in an unbelievable array of markings,
Okay.
ancient petroglyphs,
Yeah.
right alongside modern symbols like mathematical equations and circuit diagrams,
Wow.
and these chilling handwritten warnings from different eras.
Oh, warnings.
Okay, 1997. Jenkins. They mimic voices.
Oh.
1883. Follow no one.
Oh, wow. So this has happened before.
It seems like it, yes.
Wow.
It paints a picture of a place with a long and disturbing history of human interaction.
Yeah, like people have been here before
Yes.
and they haven't fared well.
And they felt the need to warn others.
Right.
These aren't just random markings. They
Uh-huh.
feel like desperate attempts to communicate something vital across time.
These warnings serve as a stark and tragic counterpoint to Nathan's purely scientific approach.
Yeah.
They suggest that others have encountered similar phenomena at this location and felt compelled to leave these urgent cautions for those who might follow.
Yeah.
The juxtaposition of ancient and modern markings hints at a timeless or cyclical interaction
Right.
with whatever resides there.
Yeah.
It makes you consider the possibility that some knowledge can only be gained through direct and potentially perilous experience.
Yes. It's in this chamber that Emma hears Nathan's voice again,
Okay.
now sounding oddly excited, beckoning her toward one of 3 dark tunnels. But those carved warnings about mimicked voices have clearly planted a seed of doubt in her mind.
Right, because she's seen those warnings.
She has.
She's suspicious.
She tests the voice asking for a very specific personal memory.
Oh, okay.
Their awkward first date, the blue dress she wore with white flowers, and her absolute dislike of sushi.
Wow. So something very specific that only Nathan would know.
That's right.
Okay.
The fact that the voice responds with such an intimate and accurate detail is what ultimately convinces Emma,
Oh, wow.
overriding her fear and suspicion.
So it really tricked her.
It highlights the sophisticated and potentially deceptive nature of whatever she's encountering, an intelligence capable of accessing
Right.
and replicating deeply personal memories.
So this is a very intelligent...
Very
Right,
intelligent
right.
being or entity or whatever.
Yeah, it raises a disturbing question.
Yeah.
What constitutes reality when even our own memories can be manipulated?
That's a scary thought.
It is.
Okay, so she trusts the voice.
She trusts the voice and follows it deeper into the earth.
Oh no.
The rock around her begins to change from the familiar red sandstone
Okay.
to this darker, almost metallic material with strange prismatic reflections. The air grows colder, carrying this distinct mineral and electrical scent.
Wow.
Nathan's voice continues to lure her around winding bends, and then
Okay.
these bizarre phenomena start happening.
Oh no.
The rock seems to ripple. She experiences moments of altered gravity,
Oh wow.
and her phone signal vanishes, cutting her off completely from the outside world.
So she's completely isolated now.
She is.
These increasingly surreal sensory experiences move us further and further away
Yes.
from any conventional scientific explanation.
Yeah, there's where it really goes off the rails.
Yeah.
The environment itself seems to be behaving in ways that defy our understanding of physics,
Right.
suggesting that the very laws of nature might operate differently in this subterranean realm.
Wow. Okay.
Finally, the tunnel opens into this vast, dark underground chamber.
Okay.
It's filled with this strange collection of inexplicable objects
Okay.
scattered around a central red rock column, an old-fashioned camera, a muddy hiking boot,
What?
a carved walking stick, a notebook filled with frantic handwriting.
Wow, it's like a collection of...
It is all arranged in this almost ritualistic way.
Okay.
And then with immense relief, Emma sees someone who looks like Nathan, examining the column.
Oh, but she's been tricked before.
She has, so she's got to be wary.
That initial relief, however, quickly dissolves into sheer horror
Okay.
as this figure turns to face her.
Uh-huh.
While the features are undeniable Nathan's, his movements are described as slow and mechanical,
Wow.
and his eyes glow with an unsettling cat-like intensity.
Oh my goodness.
His skin has even taken on the metallic sheen of the tunnel walls.
Okay.
This is no longer the man she knew.
Right.
And then he speaks those words chilling.
What does he say?
Something about intersecting realities,
Yeah.
about them being studied for centuries,
Extra century.
about learning from and becoming human.
Oh.
He then offers Emma a chance to join them, stating in this deeply disturbing way,
Okay.
Nathan is, here I am, Nathan now, and you can be Emma.
Oh my goodness.
It's a complete erasure of identity.
Right.
Terrifying assimilation.
This encounter strongly suggests a parasitic or mimetic entity, something capable of not only replicating physical form, but also absorbing and potentially overwriting the consciousness of individuals.
Right.
The mention of being studied for centuries implies a long and perhaps hidden history of interaction between this entity and humanity.
Yeah, what does it mean to be human if such a transformation is possible?
That's a great question.
Emma's reaction is pure primal panic.
Okay.
She turns and flees back through the tunnels,
Right.
pursued by this Nathan thing and other disorienting sound, syncopated footsteps that don't quite match.
Okay.
Whispers that seem to come from the rock itself, the grinding of stone.
Oh my gosh.
The tunnels themselves appear to be shifting and reconfiguring, becoming a living, disorienting maze.
So she can't find her way back.
It's changing as she's in it.
Oh my
Her
goodness.
flashlight flickers and dies, plunging her into absolute darkness.
The loss of light intensifies the terror and disorientation to an almost unbearable degree.
Yeah.
Emma's horrifying realization that this entire cave network might be a single ancient organism,
Wow.
actively absorbing the missing into its consciousness, is a terrifying culmination of all the bizarre phenomena she has witnessed.
It suggests that Nathan wasn't just taken.
Right.
He was incorporated, becoming part of something larger and utterly alien.
So he's gone.
He's gone.
He's part of this thing now.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
By what seems like a miracle.
Yeah.
Emma manages to find her way back to the chamber with the warnings and sees the faint light emanating from the fissure.
So there's still a way out.
There is. She forces herself to squeeze back through the narrowing crack,
Wow.
ignoring her injuries, while this discordant chorus of voices calls
Yeah.
out to her.
Oh no.
Nathan's voice among them, but also older, unfamiliar languages,
Older languages.
all promising knowledge immortality, a sense of ultimate union.
The promises of profound knowledge and eternal life are classic temptations
Yes.
when faced with the unknown.
Yeah.
The inclusion of Nathan's voice in this manipulative chorus underscores the entity's continued psychological warfare,
Right.
exploiting Emma's deepest fears and desires, as well as her emotional connection to Nathan.
That's right.
It's really using everything it can to try to get her to stay.
Yes.
Oh.
She finally bursts out into the morning air to find all of Nathan's equipment vanished without a trace.
Wow.
As she watches the fissure in the rock seals itself seamlessly in the rising sunlight.
So it just disappears.
It's gone.
Oh, wow.
Yet even with the fissure gone,
Yeah.
she can still hear those voices calling to her from within the solid rock.
Oh my gosh.
She has this chilling feeling that the surrounding rock formations are now aware, attentive.
So she's being watched.
She's being watched. Her phone battery drains rapidly,
Okay.
and she even perceives subtle movements within the surfaces of the rocks.
Oh, that's terrifying.
The seamless sealing of the fissure and the persistent voices serve as a powerful testament to the otherworldly nature of this encounter.
Yeah.
Emma's final desperate warning is born from a profound and terrifying understanding that the crossing is not just a geological anomaly,
Right.
but something ancient, sentient, and actively seeking to understand and ultimately transform those who venture too close.
It's a truly unsettling account, leaving you, I'm sure, with a lot to think about.
The collision of scientific exploration with something so utterly beyond our current understanding
Right.
is deeply disturbing.
It really pushes us to consider the inherent limitations of our current scientific paradigms.
Yeah.
Emma's experience suggests that there may be entire realms of phenomena
Right.
that lie far outside the scope of what we can currently measure and explain.
Yes.
It challenges the very foundations of how we approach knowledge and the unknown.
And Emma's final thoughts on the nature of knowledge and understanding
Yeah.
are particularly resonant.
What were those?
What if the very act of seeking knowledge can lead us to something that in turn seeks to know us?
Mm-hmm.
And that act of mutual knowing results in a transformation beyond anything we can imagine.
Wow.
It's a provocative and unsettling idea.
This deep dive into Emma's firsthand account serves as a stark reminder
Yeah.
that even in seemingly ordinary landscapes,
Right.
profound and potentially dangerous mysteries can lie hidden.
Yeah.
It compels us to consider the potential consequences of our relentless curiosity and the possibility that some doors once opened might never be fully closed.
Indeed, what if the most profound discoveries aren't found in what we can meticulously measure, but in the vastness of what we cannot yet even comprehend?
Right.
And what happens when our pursuit of knowledge leads us to something ancient and powerful
Yeah.
that seeks to know us in return?
A truly thought-provoking, if deeply unsettling
Absolutely.
scenario for you to consider.
Food for thought.
Yeah, food for thought.
Until next time. All right, so today we're going deep on something pretty intense. We've got these audio logs and notes from Daniel Walsh. And, you know, for anyone who's not familiar, he was a homicide detective turned true crime writer. And he even hosted his own podcast called Vanished American Mysteries.
Yeah.
The really unsettling part is that, well, this investigation that he was on, he kind of turned into the subject of his own mystery.
It does seem that way, doesn't it? What we're seeing in his notes in these recordings, it's like looking into the mind of someone who just needed to understand the unexplainable. I mean, you can see how his background in law enforcement just completely shaped his approach. You knew he was a detective,
Yeah.
focused on the world of disappearances.
Absolutely. And these recordings that we have, they start in this very specific place, his Airstream Atlas,
Okay.
parked in Long Canyon
Right.
near Deadman Pass, about 9 miles northwest of Sedona, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
And at this point, he was already 3 weeks into investigating these vanishings. And it spanned like 70 years.
Oh, wow. 70 years.
Just think about that. 7 decades of people just gone.
Yeah, that's a long time. It's important to understand his mindset when he starts, he considered himself a pattern hunter, someone who's trusted their own instincts and really liked to work alone.
Yeah.
This wasn't someone just wandering into something they didn't understand. He was a real professional with a lot of experience dealing with some pretty dark stuff.
He even talks about one case in particular, the abduction of these 3 kids. It was never solved. And it really affected him. He actually says that's part of why he left the police force.
Yeah.
You can tell that this unresolved case, it was still with him.
I can see that.
And it really pushed him to find answers for these people who had vanished.
It's like he felt this responsibility, He
Yeah.
connected to their pain, and maybe that made him a little too willing to consider any explanation, even if it went beyond what we normally think is possible.
Yeah.
He wasn't just after a story. He was trying to find a way to ease that suffering.
Right. And what he found, or what he thought he found, was this pattern.
Okay.
23 disappearances. And when he plotted them on these topographical maps, they formed a perfect spiral.
A spiral.
A spiral, and it was tightening. In the center of that spiral, an unmarked rock formation. Local indigenous people called it Desert Mirror.
Wow. A vortex of loss. It's a powerful image.
It is. But there's this other layer of unease when you consider how the locals reacted to his investigation. It wasn't just like, oh, there's an outsider poking around. There was this diner waitress, and she gave him this really veiled warning.
A warning. About what?
Just to be careful,
Yeah.
about seeking trouble. And then there was Ranger Tompkins. He said something really strange. He said that the missing weren't just missing.
What did you mean?
He said they were gone. It's like there's a difference, right?
Yeah. He's saying it's more final. It's not just being lost. They're gone.
Exactly. And then Tompkins tells Walsh this old Yavapai legend about Desert Mirror. It's not just a reflection of yourself. It's a reflection of every version of yourself across time.
Whoa. Every version.
Every version.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. And he even gives Walsh a pouch of red sand.
Oh, what for?
I mean, it seems symbolic, doesn't it? Like, it's supposed to protect him from whatever is out there.
I see. The legend is like this explanation, it's supernatural.
Yeah.
And Tompkins is offering a different way of seeing things because Walsh is all about logic and investigation. The red sand is like a connection to this ancient belief system.
Right. But Walsh is a true detective. He dismisses the legend.
Of course he does.
He just wants a logical explanation.
Yeah.
A real-world connection between these 23 disappearances. He's ready to use his experience to crack this case, to solve this puzzle.
Okay.
He had no idea he was walking right into the center of that spiral.
Becoming the 24th, it's like he's got these blinders on, you know? He's so used to his method.
Yeah.
He doesn't even want to think about things he can't explain. It's like he wasn't prepared for what he found.
Not at all. So Walsh gets to Desert Mirror, and right away, things are just off. There's no wildlife. There's
Okay.
this intense isolation. And he's someone who likes to be alone, but this is different.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts having these really disturbing dreams, vivid dreams.
Like nightmares.
Yeah. And he wakes up one morning, and he's sleepwalked. He's closer to the monolith.
Yeah.
And that's not something he's ever done before.
Oh, wow. So even his own body is starting to betray him in a way. His confidence and his rational explanations, it's starting to crumble, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's like the environment is reacting to him.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he's just more sensitive to the strangeness because he's there.
Mm-hmm.
But the sleepwalking, that's really important. It's like he's being pulled towards the anomaly without even knowing it. And then things change completely. Out of nowhere, this storm appears. It's centered right over Desert Mirror, lightning flashing upwards, rain falling in this perfect circle around the monolith, but the center, it stays dry. And then just as quickly as it started, it's gone.
They're not normal.
And then to make things even stranger, his exit route is blocked.
Locked. How?
A rock fall. Looks recent. He's trapped.
Okay, that's not just a coincidence. A storm like that, defying all the rules, and then the way out is blocked. It's like, it's deliberate.
Yeah.
Like the monolith is controlling things.
And it gets stranger. His satellite communication just stops working.
But the storm was gone, right? Clear skies.
Totally clear skies. And his cameras, they were recording the whole time.
Hey.
Nothing unusual. It's like reality is being edited, or maybe whatever he's experiencing can't be recorded.
Wow. Technology failing like that, it happens a lot in these kinds of stories. It's like what he's seeing just doesn't fit with how we understand things scientifically.
Yeah. And then there are these physical anomalies. His footprints, they disappear.
Disappear.
Gone. And then new ones appear, but they're his footprints.
But in the wrong place.
Yeah. In places he couldn't have walked.
Yeah.
And then he finds all these water bottles.
Water bottles. His.
But they're all different. You know, some are brand new, some are scratched up, like they've been used for months.
Like different versions.
Right. And then there are entries in his journal that he doesn't remember writing.
What do they say?
They talk about other observers and temporal echoes. And then, get this, his clothes are laid out.
Laid out. Like how?
Like someone was just wearing them.
Yeah.
But they've aged too, like months have passed.
It's like you said, different versions. The water bottles, his journal, even his clothes. It's like time is splitting or layering on top of itself.
Mm-hmm. And the journal entries, it's like something is messing with his mind, controlling his thoughts.
Right. It's not just watching him.
Yeah.
It's getting inside his head. And the clothes, that's creepy. Like there's something else there that looks just like him.
It's terrifying. So he does this simple experiment. He blows an air horn.
Okay.
The echoes that come back, they're wrong.
Wrong how?
It's not one echo, it's multiple echoes.
Okay.
They're delayed. It's not how sound works. It's like the sounds are being recorded and then played back over and over again.
Time is distorted.
Yeah. And then he sees it visually. He sees himself, multiple versions of himself.
Like reflections.
No, like solid, distinct versions of Daniel Walsh doing different things from when he was there before. They don't interact with him. And when he gets close, they vanish and then reappear somewhere else.
So the legend, it's true that the Tompkins was talking about seeing all yourselves across time.
Yeah, it's real. He's not just investigating disappearances anymore. He's living it. He's seeing his own identity fracture right in front of him.
I can't imagine.
He remembers the red sand that Tompkins gave him.
Right.
And he thinks maybe that's why he can see all this. Maybe it's like a filter or something, letting him see these broken timelines. And then Desert Mirror itself starts to change. The surface, it starts to ripple. And when he looks into it, he doesn't see his reflection. He sees Desert Mirror reflecting another Desert Mirror, reflecting another one, going on forever.
Oh, wow.
And then in the stone, he starts to see faces.
Faces, like in the rock.
Yeah, the faces of the missing, trapped. They're silently mouthing words.
Oh, that's horrible. So it's not just reflecting time, it's changing it. It's unstable. And those faces, they're not just gone, they're part of it somehow.
Yeah. And he realizes the objects at the perimeter, the hiking boot, the water bottles, they're not just things left behind.
What are they then?
Anchors. He thinks they're anchors, physical connections left by these fragments of consciousness that are trying to resist being completely absorbed. He even finds a voice recorder,
With what on?
a recording of himself. from the future.
From the future.
Describing this very thing, the fragmentation that he's experiencing right now. He's trapped in this loop.
He's getting warnings from himself. Oh, this is messed up. So the disappearances, it's not that they're just wandering off and getting lost. It's like their existence is being eroded across time.
Yeah, like bits and pieces of their identity are scattered until there's nothing left. And what's left goes into that thing in the monolith. And the echoes just keep fading away. And he starts to feel it happening to him. He loses time, finds more journal entries he didn't write. And then his satellite communicator, it activates.
But it wasn't working before.
It wasn't working. It's like some part of him is trying to reach out.
Desperate.
And it's getting worse. The spiral, it's getting smaller, tighter.
So the entity, it's focusing its power.
Yeah, getting stronger.
And it could spread beyond Desert Mirror to Sedona, maybe even further.
That's what he's afraid of. It's not just a local thing anymore.
You have a right to be afraid.
So in his last recordings, he goes back to Desert Mirror, and he sees all the other versions of himself.
There too.
They're all converging there, like some kind of synchronized dance.
Yeah.
And they all think they're the original. And he sees his reflection in the stone. But it's just watching him, waiting. And behind it, he sees all the others, all those lost identities. He feels welcomed, like it's offering him knowledge, transcendence.
But at what cost?
His identity, himself.
She's being pulled in.
And his last words, they're chilling. He says, I am everyone who has ever disappeared here. We are a collective now. We are waiting.
It's like he's gone completely. He's become part of it, that thing in the stone, and it's waiting for more.
So we're left with this terrifying question. What does this tell us about time? About who we are? What does it mean when our own senses can't be trusted? And could all these mysteries, the ones that seem so random and unconnected, could they be linked in ways we can't even imagine? It's a lot to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, it really makes you question everything. All right, so we're diving into something pretty unusual today, a file called novo1.txt. And, you know, from the moment I started reading this thing, I gotta say, it's got this creepy vibe, you know? Just this unsettling feeling that sort of creeps up on you.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's definitely, it's got layers, right? Like, as I was going through Eliza Morgan's account, it just kept getting weirder and weirder. Definitely unsettling, putting it mildly.
Yeah, definitely. So, who is this Eliza Morgan? Well, according to what she wrote in this file, she's a photojournalist, someone who's really into capturing those, you know, rare and unusual events in the natural world, the stuff most people don't ever see. And that's what brings her to Sedona, Arizona, specifically to this place called Cathedral Rock. She's hoping to document these reported light anomalies that happen during the solstice.
And it's important to point out that this isn't just some amateur with a camera, right? Eliza's a total pro. She's got experience working in all sorts of challenging environments, often by herself. So this whole Sedona thing, this wasn't a random trip. This was planned, deliberate.
Right, exactly. And the file itself, it starts with this almost like a desperate plea, this warning straight to whoever finds her laptop. She's saying basically, stay away from any RV trips to Sedona, especially Cathedral Rock during the solstice. Especially, and she makes this very clear if you're a solo photographer, and she even writes that she believes she's already gone and asks for the laptop to be delivered to her sister. It's a dark start, like really dark.
Right from the start, it's like,
Yeah.
something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not like a scientific journal or a diary, you know.
Yeah.
It's a straight up warning from someone who thinks they've messed with something way beyond our understanding, something potentially very dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get to these light anomalies then. People have been talking about them for years. Apparently you see these geometric patterns of light around Cathedral Rock, and they only appear for like 17 minutes right at midnight during the solstice. But here's the really strange part. People say they seem to be coming from inside the rock itself, not reflecting from some other light source.
That's super important. They're not talking about the sun or anything like that. It's like the light's being projected from within the rock, almost as if it's alive or something.
I know, right? And of course, the scientific community isn't jumping at this. Most of them just write it off as illusions, you know?
Yeah.
Tricks of the light, overactive imaginations, that kind of thing.
Yeah, which, you know, if you're all about hard evidence and stuff, it makes sense. But what's interesting is that Eliza, she looked into all these reports, you know, anecdotal stuff, and she found some consistency. There are these details that just keep popping up, and it makes you think maybe it's not all made up.
Exactly. And Eliza, she's not messing around. She's a pro, right? She gets to Sedona like 10 days before the solstice. That gives her time to check out the area, test all her gear, find the best spot to see everything. She even picks this hard-to-reach spot on the western face. It's not just some casual thing for her.
Shows you how serious she was about this, right? She wanted proof, not just a glimpse, but real evidence. And that spot she chose, it suggests she wanted to be away from any other light, anything that could mess things up.
Yeah, and she's got her Ford Transit camper van all set up. She's totally self-sufficient, living on the road. It's like she's done this kind of remote work before, someone who knows what they're doing.
Exactly. This isn't someone who spooks easily, someone who's going to freak out about being alone or climbing a tough trail. So when she starts describing this unease, something's really off.
Which brings us to her first weird encounter. While she's getting supplies, she runs into the owner of this local photography shop. An older lady, silver hair, and Eliza even mentions these really intense blue eyes. And when Eliza mentions Cathedral Rock and the solstice, well, let's just say this woman's reaction was a bit much.
It's a big moment, right? Because the shop owner doesn't just brush it off. She calls the lights sentinels, like guards, watching specifically for people who are alone.
Yeah.
It's like ominous. Like, what's a sentinel? Is it just watching, or is it like judging, interacting, this whole being watched thing? It's a constant theme in Eliza's story.
Totally. And then the shop owner gives Eliza this carved stone, almost like a good luck charm or something. She says it might give Eliza time to look away, but that it won't stop them from seeing her. It's like suddenly this folklore stuff's creeping into Eliza's, scientific investigation. So is Eliza just freaking out and misinterpreting a local custom, or was that stone, actually important? It does react later on.
Totally. At first you might think, okay, it's just the folklore. But later, the way that stone reacts, it definitely feels like more than just a random trinket. It's connected to the phenomena.
Back at her campsite, Eliza starts reading up on all the old reports. And like you said, there are these patterns, sudden temperature drops, electronics going haywire, and always that feeling of being watched.
It's crazy. All these different reports from totally different people, all with the same weird stuff happening. It makes you think there's something real going on at Cathedral Rock during the solstice. Something more than just random weirdness.
Right. There's this one hiker who said the lights got brighter when they tried to take a picture, almost like they knew they were being watched and wanted to make sure they were seen clearly. It's just unsettling.
Really unsettling. It's like the phenomenon's reacting to being observed, to being recorded. It makes you wonder, what are these lights, really?
And then there's this really disturbing story about a photographer who disappeared back in 2018. They found her car, but she was never seen again. Probably just a hiking accident, But looking back, knowing all the other weird stuff that happens there, it makes you wonder. Eliza even says she wished she'd made the connection back then.
That disappearance definitely adds a whole other level of, creepiness to this. It's like, maybe these anomalies aren't just weird lights. Maybe they can actually be dangerous. Makes Eliza's warning at the beginning even scarier, doesn't it?
Totally. So before the solstice, Eliza spends a whole week exploring Cathedral Rock, right? Really checking it out. And she starts seeing weird stuff. There are these super symmetrical patterns in the rock face that seem to shift and change over time. Not like carvings or anything, but it's part of the rock itself. And this is before the solstice night even happened.
That's really important.
Yeah.
She's seeing weird stuff even before the main event. And these changing patterns, even if she tried to explain them away as just the light playing tricks, it had to make her wonder, maybe this rock formation isn't so natural after all.
Yeah, totally. And then her equipment starts acting up. First, her drone just dies in midair, full battery 1 minute, dead the next, and all the footage is completely corrupted. It's not like a mechanical failure. It's a complete power drain, and everything's messed up.
It's not just a dead battery, right? It's like some kind of energy surge or interference, you know. And the data loss, that's a big deal. That's potential evidence, just gone.
Yeah, and it just gets worse. Her main camera starts acting weird too, capturing these strange streaks of light that weren't there when she took the pictures. And then it gets really bizarre. Some of her photos of Cathedral Rock, the rock itself starts looking distorted, like warped and fluid, almost like it's melting or something. For you listening, think about that for a second. Our senses, even our cameras, can be fooled. If reality itself is being messed with, how can we ever really know what's true?
It's like the camera's seeing something beyond what we can normally perceive. It's not just the light, it's like the very structure of reality is being messed with.
Yeah, exactly. And then in one of her sunset photos, there's this silhouette, a human figure standing on the summit of Cathedral Rock, which is supposed to be closed off. And the figure standing in her signature photography pose. But the timestamp on the photo, it says 11:58 p.m. hours after sunset. That's impossible. That doppelganger photo, it's like,
Oh,
it's scary, right? The pose, it's like a mirror image, like she's being watched. And the timestamp, it throws everything off. It's like time itself is going crazy around this phenomenon.
It's like a break in reality, isn't it? That image and that timestamp, it's where things start to get seriously weird, even for Eliza.
Yeah. At this point, seeing herself or something like her in that photo, that's when the unease turns to real fear. She even thinks about calling her sister, like she needs a connection to the normal world.
Yeah, that's when her rational, scientific mind starts to crumble, I think. Reaching out to her sister, that's a purely human reaction to something that just doesn't make sense.
Totally. So the day before the solstice, she goes on one final recon trip, and things get really, really strange. She describes this feeling like Cathedral Rock is no longer solid, like it's permeable, like a boundary she could almost step through. Imagine that. A solid object suddenly feeling porous. It's like a hint that the normal laws of physics, the very fabric of reality, are about to break down.
It's like the boundary between our world and something else is thinning, right? Like a veil being lifted. And it makes you think about what's going to come through that portal.
And her camera, without her even touching it, records 17 minutes of blank footage. But the last frame, it shows what looks like a hand reaching out from inside the rock. That's creepy. And think about it. 17 minutes. Exactly how long the light anomalies last.
Like the camera's recording, nothingness. But that hand, that's something physical, reaching out from a solid rock. It's a clear image that something exists beyond our normal reality.
Yeah. It's solstice morning. Eliza describes this strange stillness, like an unnatural calm. No wind, no birds, just complete silence. It's like the whole area is holding its breath. That stillness, it's often a sign that something big's about to happen, especially in those old folklore stories.
Sets the mood, right? It's like nature itself is waiting for the show to start.
She spends the whole day checking and double-checking her gear. She's a pro, right? Super organized. But you can feel the tension building. She knows the lights will appear at midnight, and they'll only last for 17 minutes. She wants to be at her spot 2 hours early to be ready. So much preparation. It shows how dedicated she was, how much she wanted to get this on film, and that 2-hour buffer makes you think she knew things could go wrong, but she couldn't even imagine how wrong.
Right. She's trying to stay in control, but, you can only control so much.
The climb to her spot in the dark, it turns out to be much harder than she expected. Handholds break off, the silence gets heavier. She makes it to her ledge at 10:03 p.m., but her nerves are already shot. It's like the mountain's trying to keep her away.
Right. The crumbling handholds, the silence. It's like some force is making things difficult for her.
And then it gets crazy. The temperature drops suddenly, like way down. And at 11:45 p.m., her headlamp and her phone just die, even though they had fresh batteries. All she has left are her cameras, and even their batteries are starting to drain. She's all alone in the dark, with only her cameras for company. It's like the classic horror movie setup, right? Technology fails just when you need it most. And in stories about the paranormal, that's often a sign that something big is about to go down.
Totally. It's like some kind of energy is messing with all the tech.
And then, right on time, at 11:58 p.m., it starts, a faint light appears inside Cathedral Rock, and then it forms these precise geometric shapes, perfect circles, triangles, spirals. It's like the rock is glowing from within, like it's alive. That's when it really hits you. This is something beyond science, something we just don't understand.
It's a blueprint or a code in light. Like some kind of language we can't decipher.
And then, looking through her camera lens, she sees even stranger things. Three-dimensional shapes start to form and dissolve within the light patterns. And then, get this, a doorway of light appears, like a portal, right there in the rock face. It's like the rock is opening up to something else, something beyond our world.
That's what gets me right. It's not just a light show. It's like an invitation, a doorway to another place.
And then a figure appears in the doorway. It looks humanoid, but distorted. It raises an arm and points directly at Eliza. Imagine that. Being singled out, being pointed at by something from another world. That's when you know it's not just a random event, right? It's focused, intentional.
It's like she's been identified, chosen.
This is where things get really crazy. All three of her cameras, by themselves, they start zooming in on the figure. And what they show is a perfect silhouette of Eliza. Her own silhouette, just like her professional headshot. This light figure, this doppelganger, it mirrors her movements, even raises a camera of its own. And then Eliza sees herself through her own camera lens, as if she's looking through the doppelganger's camera. It's a complete break with reality, a total mind trip. The cameras, they're not under her control anymore. It's like they're being operated by something else. And the doppelganger, it's like it's replacing her. The cameras are becoming part of the phenomenon, and Eliza's losing herself.
It's like a merging or a takeover. Liza's tools, her identity, everything's getting blurred.
Eliza, she freaks out and scrambles back. She's got to break eye contact, escape this thing. It's pure instinct, right? When something's that messed up, you just run.
Fight or flight, right? You're facing something impossible, something that breaks all the rules. You got to get out.
But as she's moving back, the light patterns get brighter, pulsing faster. The temperature drops even more. It's like freezing cold. And her cameras, they're still running, still pointed at the doorway and the figure. It's like she can't escape its attention. It's getting more intense now, like it's angry.
It doesn't want her to leave.
And then she hears a voice, not through her ears, but in her mind, a clear thought. It says, Eliza Morgan, observer, recorder, witness. You've been seen across boundaries. Your pattern is known. Think about that. Your pattern is known. It's like something scanned her, figured out everything about her. This isn't just seeing her, it's understanding her on a deeper level.
It's like a violation, a total invasion of her privacy. Someone, something has access to her thoughts, her memories, her whole being. That's terrifying.
The voice continues, explaining that the lights, they're observers. And get this, photography itself, that's what creates the connection. Suddenly, that weird warning from the shop owner makes sense. Every photo Eliza took, it was like an invitation, drawing their attention. Eliza's whole career, documenting the unusual, it's what led her to this.
It's ironic, isn't it? Her passion, her way of understanding the world, it becomes the way she's trapped, observed.
Remember that stone the shop owner gave her? It suddenly gets super hot, burning hot in her pocket. Then, just as suddenly, it goes ice cold. She tries to ignore the figure, the voice, everything. She just wants to get off that rock face. The stone's reaction, it's like a warning, a sign that things are getting really bad.
Like a last line of defense failing.
But the voice in her head, it gets louder, and it's not just one voice anymore, it's many voices. They say, your pattern is known. You have been chosen. The threshold is open. Come witness what exists beyond your limited perception. And her cameras, they start making this high-pitched noise, like they're going haywire, they're still filming, but now it's just static and distortion. They're completely out of her control. It's like they're saying, come with us, see what's on the other side. But there's something else too, a feeling of hunger, like something wants to consume her.
It's both inviting and terrifying.
Right.
The promise of knowledge, but with this underlying threat.
Eliza just runs. She leaves all her gear behind and climbs down in the dark. The light from the anomaly, it's following her, and the voices, they're still there, promising knowledge, but also hungry. She's running for her life, leaving everything behind. But it's not enough. It's still coming for her.
Like a predator that's found its prey.
She reaches the bottom of Cathedral Rock, totally exhausted and terrified. She stumbles away, then looks back. The light patterns are covering the whole rock face now, and on her ledge, where she was just standing, there's the figure, the doppelganger. It's using her cameras. She's been replaced. And the figure, it doesn't look quite human, even though it looks like her. It's like something else is wearing her skin.
The whole mountain is lit up, like the phenomenon's fully active.
Yeah.
And her doppelganger, it's like it's taken over her role, her identity. It's chilling.
And then the doppelganger looks down at her, raises one of her cameras, and takes her picture. At that moment, Eliza feels this emptiness inside, like a part of her is gone. And the stone in her pocket, it shatters. It's like a piece of her soul has been captured in that photo. And the stone, it's like the last bit of protection she had, just gone.
That moment of being photographed, it's like a transfer, taking something was stolen from her.
She runs to her van, locks herself inside. She feels empty, incomplete, and she notices the timing is exactly 17 minutes, the same as the light anomalies. Everything is so precise, controlled. It's like a ritual, a process. And she was the target.
17 minutes, exactly. Like a cycle, repeating.
Yeah.
And she's left feeling broken.
Safe inside her van, she tries to make sense of it all. She realizes that her desire to document the lights, her need to capture and understand, that's what connected her to this thing. It was her own curiosity that made her a target. And she can still see her doppelganger up on the rock, silhouetted against the fading light. It's a constant reminder that she's not free.
It's like a cautionary tale, right? About the dangers of seeking knowledge, of trying to control the unknown. Sometimes the things we try to understand, they understand us right back, and not always in a good way.
then she has this dream, a nightmare. She sees these unseen beings collecting consciousness, perception, like it's something they need. And her doppelganger, it's like a vessel, transferring her essence to them. It's like they're harvesting something from us, something that makes us human, and we're left diminished. It's a horrifying thought.
It is. It's truly terrifying. It makes you think about consciousness, about what makes us who we are, and those things can be taken, used.
That dream, it makes her realize she has to warn others, especially people like her, explorers, photographers, anyone drawn to the strange and unusual. That's why she wrote this file, this message. It's a warning. That's why she wants it delivered to her sister. It's her last act, trying to protect others from making the same mistakes she did.
It's an act of incredible bravery.
Yeah.
Even though she's terrified.
Eliza can still feel her doppelganger, even miles away from Cathedral Rock. It's like it's searching for her, for whatever part of her is left. She knows she can't escape. It's inside her now. It's a part of her. It's horrifying to think that something that powerful could be so insidious. It's not just a one-time event. It's a connection that can't be broken.
It's changed her, fundamentally. A part of her is gone, and something else is there now.
In her last words in the file, she describes driving to a crowded area in Sedona, hoping the crowds will offer some protection. She's going to leave the laptop there and then try to find the photography shop owner again, hoping maybe she knows something, maybe she can help. It's a desperate hope, a last resort. But even as she types, she feels herself slipping away, her memories becoming distant. It's like they're being watched by someone else. She's fading away, losing herself.
It's a last, desperate attempt to find some kind of solution, some way to fight back against this impossible thing.
She begs whoever finds the laptop to believe her warning. Stay away from Cathedral Rock during the solstice. Never photograph the light. They're not just lights. They're observers, collectors. They want what makes us unique, what makes us human. The light knew her name, it has her face, and now it's using her cameras, taking more pictures.
It's a warning that chills you to the bone, right?
Yeah.
Because it suggests that something's out there, something that's hungry for us, for what makes us who we are. And it's using our own curiosity, our desire to document and understand against us.
Eliza Morgan's story, it's disturbing, and it makes you think, right, what are the limits of our understanding? What happens when we try to capture the truly unknown? Is it possible that our very act of observing, of documenting, can open a door to something we can't control?
Right. It makes you think about all those people obsessed with the paranormal, with the unexplained. Are they really just observers? Or are they participants in something much bigger, something they can't control?
Think about it. What if consciousness, your unique perspective, your way of seeing the world, what if that's something valuable to others, to something else? What if there are things out there, watching, waiting for us to open the door? And what happens when we do? What price do we pay for our curiosity? That's something to think about, isn't it? That's all for this deep dive. Until next time, be careful what you choose to observe.